It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of August 24th, 2001. We've got a lot of movies to look at today, 5 in particular, so let's go ahead and get right to it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is the spin-off of, I guess you can consider it the spin-off of Clerks, or the 5th film in the View Askew universe, if you will. It is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I mean, that trailer kind of pretty much sums up the good things about this movie as well as the bad things about this movie. And trust me, this movie is definitely very much a lot of things to talk about here. So basically, we have the story of, Jay and Silent Bob. They get a restraining order from Dante and Randall, who, of course, are played once again by Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. And they keep the Punchy Jay and his hetero life mate, Silent Bob, from selling drugs in front of the Quick Stop convenience store. Their lives are suddenly empty. They find new purpose with their friend Brody, Jason Lee from Mallrats. Informs them that a movie is being made about their two infamous characters based on their likeliness. After visiting one of the creators of Bluntman and Chronic, played by Ben Affleck, who plays Holden McNeil and several other roles in this, and you're starting to see where this gets a little bit too much. But they set out to get whatever fat movie cash they deserve and hopefully put an end to people slandering them on the internet. Along the way, they come across the rules of the road from a hitchhiking George Carlin, ride with a group of gorgeous jewelry thieves, and incur the wrath of a hapless wildlife marshal played by Will Ferrell for liberating an orangutan named Suzanne. The quest takes them from New Jersey to Hollywood, where a showdown involving the police, the jewel thieves, the Bluntman and Chronic filmmakers will decide the fate of Suzanne J, Silent Bob, and their good names. Do you understand how crazy this movie is? Because, okay, we're not only adding Clerks into this, we're also adding in, Chasing Amy, Mallrats, Dogma. I mean, all of Kevin Smith's movies in this one movie, with a lot of the characters from all of those movies. But then again, it makes sense, because Jay and Silent Bob have been in every single one of those movies. They've been in Mallrats, they've been in Clerks, they've been in Chasing Amy, they've been in Dogma, and they would continue to be in various movies here, in a film that is supposed to be the end of the View Askew universe. However, that's where the problems of the movie really come into play here, because it definitely is a very, very mixed bag of a movie. I mean, so much is going on in this film that you get lost in what they're trying to tell story-wise. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of funny moments in this movie, and moments that still hold up after all these years. There's moments and lines in this that I still remember laughing my ass off when I first heard them the first time I saw this movie. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is a great movie overall, because it definitely feels like a film that was probably more than intended to be the last time that Kevin Smith did these type of movies, and he'd go on to do more different things, because he would follow this up with his next movie, which would be Jersey Girl, which was not a big hit critically nor financially, and so he kind of was eventually brought back into the fold with the Clerks universe. And it also felt like a movie that was trying to be a little bit too mainstream. Like, it felt like a movie that was trying to stay in the same, cold appreciation of the other movies that Smith had done, but also wanted to be more of a mainstream comedy. Like, it wanted to be something kind of like Rat Race, the movie we talked about last time around. But like I said, there are a lot of funny moments in the movie. It still has a lot of funny moments in general. A lot of really good moments involving Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith. You still buy their chemistry as Jay and Silent Bob in this. And you also get a lot of cameos from guys like Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Will Ferrell. You have the Jewel Thief, Shannon Elizabeth, Eliza Dushku, Jen Schwalbach, Kevin Smith's wife, Ali Larder as well. I mean, it's a lot to take in, really. It's a movie that has a lot of stuff in it that is very, very much needed to be taken in. It doesn't work all the time, though. It really does feel like there's just way too much going on here in terms of like a story. Not to mention there's also the references to other movies, like not just Kevin Smith movies, but other movies in general. Like you see at the end there, they're talking about Clash of the Titans and Better Than Mallrats, all that type of stuff, and like, it's just I think it's way too much in terms of the story, like trying to have all these characters and all these comedic setups come together. But like I said, it's not a bad movie per se. It's not a film that really is overall, but it's not a bad movie at all. It's just very much all over the place in terms of what it's trying to accomplish here. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of a mix between, Beavis and Butthead Do America, with a mix of there's another one I was thinking of, maybe, but I can't remember what it is now, but it just felt like there was way too much going on in this movie to really have what Kevin Smith was trying to accomplish here in this. And for that, the movie kind of suffers big time because of it. And, again, it's not a bad movie. It's just one that's very much all over the place. It doesn't really have a good grasp of what exactly it's trying to accomplish overall. And, you know, it's really hard for me to say that, to recommend it, but I don't hate it either. I mean, it's a decent film that does have moments that once you hear them, you'll remember them for years and years to come after you see the film. But honestly, I think it was done better with the sequel that came out many years later, almost 20 years later, with Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which I thought was a much better movie featuring these characters in general. And this is around the time when Kevin Smith started to get his groove back, because he followed it up with Clerks 3, which was a really good film. And one I definitely thought was a little bit better than Clerks 2, which was another movie that tried to go a little too mainstream, but I thought that one worked a little bit better than Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. As far as this movie goes, it's fine for what it is, but it definitely felt like a film it felt like Smith was trying way too hard to accomplish something here, and it didn't quite work as much as I think he wanted it to. It does still have some funny moments, and I say that it's not a complete disaster by any means. It's a good film. It's a good film. I say it's fine for what it is. If you like the other movies from Kevin Smith that came before this, I'd say you definitely get a kick out of this one. So not much more to say about Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So let's move on to our next movie, and that is Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jessica Biel in Summer Catch. I think that's pretty much all you need to see about this movie. I mean, what more do I even need to say about this movie? It's basically another movie that's trying to be a reminiscent of something from the 80s. We had we had American Outlaws, which was trying to be the new Young Guns. Now here we have a movie that's trying to be the new Bull Durham, except it's the new sexy teen version of Bull Durham. Like the WB made this movie and features some people from the WB in it. But Summer Catch, you have Ryan Dunn, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., who is a nice high school kid. I'm not even joking. That's literally what it says here in the synopsis. Who works hard mowing lawns for Dad Sean's firm. Is caught between loyalty to Sir, who cynically believes neither of his sons will ever climb the social ladder, and Big Brother Mike, who scolds Ryan's lack of ambitions to go all the way to be a recruiter for a baseball college scholarship, which Mike had abandoned due to a wound. To complicate matters, he falls in love with a snobbish client's daughter, played by Jessica Biel. Of course, at the time, she was on Seventh Heaven, and you see her there in the skimpy bikini, and you see other things in here that is very much familiar to you if you saw the movie Bull Durham, which is the far superior film on a number of different levels. And so in addition, you have Freddie Prinze Jr., Jessica Biel, Fred Ward, Matthew Lillard, Brittany Murphy, Brian Dennehy, John C. McGinley's also in here, Wilmer Valderrama, Beverly D'Angelo, that you just saw in the trailer. I mean, this is a movie that is just so much a bad movie. It's a movie that is literally trying to be a new generation's Bull Durham, and it failing miserably. Like, this is what happens when the WB tries to make a movie based off of if the WB was to make a series off the movie Bull Durham and wanted to make it specifically for the teen audience, it feels like this movie would be exactly that. It feels like that's the type of movie that this movie is trying to be. And boy, howdy, does it fail miserably. I mean, I like these people a lot. I do like them as actors, but man, they needed something much better than this. This movie just felt like a film that needed to come out because, it's summertime, and this is late into the baseball season, so kind of pointless on that front too. And it's just like, there's just been so many better movies that have done this much better. There's better stories that you can believe into. There's better characters that you can relate to. This just isn't it. This is just a major, major misstep on so many levels. This is the type of movie that a studio like Warner Brothers would dump in late August, early September, because they know it was bad from the get-go. So yeah, not much more to say about that one. That is Summer Catch. With that said, let's go on to another movie that was dumped in the late August dumping grounds, and you can probably see why. That is John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. Yeah, Ghost of Mars is another one of those movies that very much fits into some of the movies we've talked about over the last couple of days, where it feels like it's ripping off things from other movies and is from decades before. Now here's a movie that's ripping off literally everything that John Carpenter has ever done. I mean, this movie feels like a complete retread of nearly every single thing that he's ever done, from The Thing to Escape from New York to the Mars genre of the time is that where everyone was trying to make a movie based on Mars and failing miserably at it. This is another one of those examples of a film that fails on that level too. But you have a story set on a colonized Mars in the 22nd century where you follow a squad of police officers and a convicted criminal who fight against the residents of a mining colony who have been possessed by the ghosts of the planet's original inhabitants. And you see a cast that includes Natasha Henstridge, Ice Cube, Jason Statham, Pam Grier, Clea Duvall, and Joanna Cassidy. And supposedly this movie was supposed to be a Snake Plissken sequel, but it was rumored to be that way. But it was actually dispelled by the film's producer, who was I guess was married to John Carpenter at the time of this, Sandy King. But it's a movie that just really feels like a retread of pretty much everything that John Carpenter had done at that point, and it didn't really feel like a film that he was very much invested into it. It's just like, from the fact that the story is very much the same story that we've seen done in many of Carpenter's classic films, but on top of that, the visual effects in this movie are so bad. Like, they did not hold up well at all. And even back then, I wouldn't be surprised if people thought they looked terrible back then. I don't know what it was like to see this in the theater, but you could tell that this movie was just a major missed opportunity on so many different levels. Just not a film that had a good storyline, not a film that had a good interest in what it was trying to accomplish, and none more significant than the fact that this was actually the last movie John Carpenter would direct until almost 20 years later. But not even I'm thinking of something else. No, almost 10 years later, because he did The Ward in 2010, and that's what I was talking about before, not the one from 2020. But the film itself just really is not that enjoyable at all. There's nothing about it that makes you say, okay, this stuff's worth it. This stuff's more worth than that. But like, there's just nothing there. It's just a boring movie that doesn't have anything interesting or anything too exciting to really give it the push it really needs to actually be something cool. And it just fails on so many levels. It's a movie that's not really all that engaging or interesting. It's just a major missed opportunity on so many levels. You expect so much more from the people who are involved in this, from the writer, director, the director and writer, who are the same person, and this cast in general. And it's just like, it just doesn't work. It's a really, really bad film. And one you can definitely tell was pushed back to this date when Sony realized there's no way we're going to be able to sell this movie to a crowd, so just dump it on the weekend before Labor Day. So, yeah, not much more to say about Ghost of Mars. So with that said, on to our next movie, and that is Woody Allen's latest film, The Curse of the Jade Scorpion. So in this movie, Woody Allen plays a veteran insurance investigator with many successes, and Betty Ann Fitzgerald is a new employee of the company he works for with the task of reorganizing the office. And Betty Ann is played by Helen Hunt. And during a night out with the rest of the employees, they go to watch Voltan, a magician who secretly hypnotizes both of them in order for them to use for his dirty schemes. The next evening, has already made his first robbery, and when he wakes up in the morning, he has no memory of it. Things get really complicated when he starts investigating the case. Will he be able to uncover himself? And this is one of those movies that really feels like Woody Allen had a good idea of what he wanted to do here, but just the execution didn't really work out that well. I mean, it feels like a film that it's a film that he himself has even said that this is his worst movie as a filmmaker, and like he felt left down because the rest of the cast by casting himself as the lead. And I think that is the biggest problem that the movie basically has to work with here, is that the fact that Woody Allen gets to have a relationship with Helen Hunt, well, not just Helen Hunt, but Charlize Theron, and it's just like, yeah, like someone should have told Woody Allen that wasn't a good idea when they were making it, but at least he had the decency to say afterwards, just like, this isn't really what I wanted to do. In fact, it says here that he also reshot another one of his movies because he felt the casting was wrong on that front. A movie called September, which I actually don't remember too much about. I'm kind of in the middle right now as I'm recording this of watching all the Woody Allen movies. I haven't gotten to September yet, and the film, as I haven't heard anything, I haven't gotten a chance to watch that one yet, but that is kind of interesting to think about that, but with this film in general, it's not that it has a lot of good ideas too, but I think it really does fit what Woody Allen was talking about here. I think the biggest mistake for him was basically to not let him be cast as the leading character in general here, and the period setting here and the sets were overall felt like he was trying to go too big. I think that's the best thing about Woody Allen is that when he works, it's not usually going bigger than he ever goes to. This is his biggest movie produced at the time, $33 million, which I think it still is up to this point, but it just really didn't deliver what it could have been. Like, it was really one of those movies that was just, it had good ideas to it, just bad execution, and I think the biggest mistake was Woody Allen being cast as himself in this, but, and again, a lot of his movies around this point, I think, there were a couple of movies around this point where it did definitely feel like that he was getting him being cast as the leading character in here was hurting the film overall in general. As we'll look at with another movie that comes up in a little bit, in a couple of months after this, Hollywood Ending, but, yeah, as far as this goes, an interesting idea, just bad concept, bad casting overall. It's definitely not one of Woody Allen's better films, honestly. Which is our next movie, and that is Bubble Boy, which is something I completely forgot to tell you what the title was before I showed off the trailer. But, yeah, this is Bubble Boy, one of Jake Gyllenhaal's pre-successes before he became well-known for Donnie Darko and went on to become the star we know him as today. But the story of this movie is that he plays a young man who was born without an immune system and has lived his life within a plastic bubble in his bedroom, finding out that the woman that he's loved, played by Marley Shelton, since childhood, is about to be married at Niagara Falls. So he builds a portable bubble suit and ventures into the outside world to win her affections. And this is a movie that really has some good ideas to it, has a really fun concept overall. It's basically a satire of the John Travolta movie, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, back in the 1970s. But, I mean, this is a film that I remember seeing this in theaters when I was little, and I hardly remembered it in the years since I saw it again. I didn't see it again until not but a couple of years ago, and I gotta say, man, this movie is really stupid, but goddamn, man, this movie made me laugh really hard. Like, it's one of those movies that has a ridiculous concept in general, and has comedy that is not really that funny or not really that clever, but it's so silly and so stupid. I can't help but laugh my ass off at times in this. Like, that part there when he's screaming about the $500 thing, it's just like, I should not be laughing about this. This is not really all that clever, but man, the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal was so into that, and so into this role, is just like, it's kind of hard not to laugh your ass off at some of the parts in this. And then it just really feels like a movie that has a good idea to it. Not everything about it works. It's a very generic storyline. It's a very predictable movie in general. You can pretty much tell what's going to happen when it's all said and done. And it really doesn't have those great moments that make me say, you should definitely see this for just how clever and funny it is. It knows it's not really all that clever, but at the same time, it does have those moments in there where it's just like, okay, I can definitely see where they were going for here. They just wanted to make a silly, fun movie. And this is written by the same guys, Cinco Paul and Ken Dario, who would later go on to write a number of different things for Illumination, such as the Despicable Me franchise, Horton Hears a Who, The Secret Life of Pets. They wrote Schmageddon on Apple TV Plus together. But they've done stuff since then, and a lot of good stuff too. Other stuff, not so much. But I thought it was a fun, silly, stupid movie. It definitely is not a great film by any means necessary, but it's very funny when it knows exactly what it's trying to accomplish here, and it's a light watch too. It's barely under an hour and a half. You can watch it out pretty quickly and still get enough there to say, hey, that was worth it when it was all said and done. So I recommend it. I think it is a silly, fun movie. It's not a great film by any means, but you can laugh your ass off and have a good time with it if you go into it with a mindset like I did. Yeah, so Bubble Boy, man. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll wrap up August of 2001 on the next episode with two movies, including the horror classic Jeepers Creepers and also two movies we'll look at. I thought I had more after that, but no, we'll take a look at along with Jeepers Creepers. That'll be on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.